Now, finally, someone who's a Christian exposes that T.D. Jakes, as we know him, is sold out. Now, for a very long time, it was just conspiracy.
Look at how T.D. Jakes is standing. Y'all know that stand.
I got to give a special thank you to the people that was really like there for me. Bishop T.D. Jakes.
Over there at Hollywood, pretty much just taking the glory for himself, enriching himself, selling out books, whatnot, doing all of that, compromising on his messages. That's why we saw him with Oprah Winfrey and so forth. Like, there was all these things that were happening around T.D. Jakes. You'll remember that at one particular point, he was there pushing the promotion for whatever they were doing with Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey left him, then went off to promoting Islam. So we know clearly that Hollywood, what he was doing over there in Hollywood, was of no effect. Even earlier on, when T.D. Jakes really started getting involved with Hollywood, when he started having his company and so forth, his movies might have thingy, but there was an element that was questioned about his involvement in Hollywood. Now, Mase, very recently, Mase, who is a successful musician, okay, who turned to a pastor, recently came out and said T.D. Jakes is over there being lukewarm. He's over there being as unchristian as you might actually expect that most of these individuals are.
If the devil can use him aggressively, then I want you to know God could use me aggressively. Because for years, these guys have organized a mass organized effort to slander my name behind the scenes. I went through every step on how to deal with him. Every step on how to deal with Puff biblically. I dealt with him biblically. I reached out to his bishop. His bishop declined to mediate the situation. So why should we keep these same gatekeepers who have done nothing but exploited us and used our talents?
So Mase pretty much just exposed what people have always been saying. T.D. Jakes' message is very compromised. And now we have someone inside who is saying exactly that. Now, let me start this story in the beginning. First of all, Mase was signed to the record Bad Boy, which is Puffy's.
One album with Mase. One album. How much money do you think I owe this guy? One album? And then he became a fake pastor?
He has actually spoken publicly about T.D. Jakes being his mentor. And T.D. Jakes himself has openly claimed it. He has openly spoken about it. I think about a year or two back, there was even a video that came out where T.D. Jakes was invited to these weird parties that Puff Daddy has. So Mase is having issues with Puffy, right? And his spiritual father, T.D. Jakes, he sees him as a point of being a mediator between the two of them. Since you're a Christian and I'm a Christian, we both understand the aisle of, or the lines of forgiveness and reconciliation. Let's create an open road for the mediation. T.D. Jakes says, nope, Mandems is not getting involved in that. I'm going to just keep my hands clean, keep collecting that tithe money. Y'all know what it is. And so, T.D. Jakes said, no, over there being lukewarm. Over there being lukewarm and thinking. Now, I found quite interesting something that one of the journalists actually mentioned, quite interesting. He mentioned about 3 to 4 different instances when T.D. Jakes would not speak publicly about his friendship with certain people. Number one being the person of Carlton Pearson, the person who we were speaking about yesterday on the live stream, who died preaching universalism. By the way, some of the first biggest promotions that he actually had were actually from Carlton Pearson. Now, the interesting part is that they then started to split, but T.D. Jakes had a very famous phrase, you didn't make me. If you did make me, you could make another one. Apparently, that particular statement was actually in reference to Carlton Pearson, because Carlton made him popular or brought him out to the people, because Carlton was particularly popular by that period. But even in the days when he started speaking very heretical things, T.D. Jakes just kind of faded into the limelight and said nothing about it. And this particular journalist actually mentioned a second situation again, then went on to actually give a second scenario, which was Eddie Long, that Eddie Long had issues, but T.D. Jakes on that particular issue, they were big friends, they used to invite each other, the whole nine yards. But when that whole scandal came out, T.D. Jakes went silent, didn't say nothing. But on a place where it's actually not associated with church, Bishop T.D. Jakes is over there, willing to show his association with Puff Daddy, publicly wishing him happy birthday and whatnot while he's at the party, while doing all these wild things, attending all these kind of weird and strange events and stuff like that. And so why is it that with people that were clearly within the church, even though they might have been heretics, in those areas, he wouldn't say nothing? When it had doctrinal effects, he said nothing. But when it came to the subject matter of Puff Daddy, he was so vocal about it. He was so vocal about his non-belief in the subject matter of the Trinity. He's very vocal about people that are not Christian more than the ones that are actually Christian. Now this brings me to the last point. From a perspective of his family home, speaking about intervention, basically, in these situations where he would not say anything and so forth, there was the whole situation with his daughter, Cora, when there was a legal battle for a child and that Cora had taken from a certain parent and the parent had no access. T.D. Jakes was very silent. They were actually even trying to make sure that that whole thing just dies out in the media and doesn't get spoken about. So T.D. Jakes in that particular situation intervenes for the oppression of a woman not being able to see her child. And so it's quite a very interesting life that T.D. Jakes has been living, because he seems to be very well aligned with the world. And we all know that to be aligned that well with the world, there are certain exclusive rights that one gets. Okay, that's why he has such a huge promotion from people like Oprah. That's why he has such a huge platform to a point of being what we see him with all these Hollywood people. But the strange fascination with the world, T.D. Jakes, it's just so strange. It's very weird that when a Christian came to him, who was a Pastor Mase, who had been a rapper, been in the industry, finally comes out and says, you know what, help a brother mediate this particular subject. T.D. Jakes will have no part in that. He will not be associated with any form of reconciliation whatsoever, but he's more than willing to associate with the world as far as he does. I thought this story coming out was quite an interesting one to show, again, proving what people have been saying. You know what? My spirit is just a little bit off with listening to this brother here, because he's a bit weird. It's a bit of a weird one. So now Mase is just exposed. You know what? Yeah, man, them over there, he's been dominated by the world. He has no salt. He's no salt over there in the world, because the world has completely consumed him. He's completely taken over by the influence of the world. I mean, like anybody, I would probably say, okay, maybe. But Puff Daddy, the guy who's out there wearing dresses, doing whatnots and all kinds of things, Diddy, the same guy who, even 50 Cent was like, you know what, he acts a little bit fruity, too fruity for my, you get, but it shows. Why is it, there's this question, why is it that he was more willing to be associated with the world more than he was more willing to be associated with people that were going through something that might have been within the church, that were, maybe some of them were heretical at certain points and so forth, distance himself. He's always caught in the middle of something that's just a bit weird. For me, only confirms that the man them's doctrine, being so wibbled, being so up and down, being so twisted, it's no different in his personal life. Yeah,